You've seen it 100 times. A character gets hit by a blaster. There's a flash of light, and they're thrown backward. Clean, quick, almost simple. That's how it looks in movies like Star Wars. But what if we stop for a moment and ask a different question? What would actually happen if something like a blaster existed in the real world? It wouldn't behave like a bullet. Most versions of a blaster are imagined as some form of high-energy beam or superheated plasma. And that changes everything, because now the primary effect isn't force, it's heat, extreme heat. Plasma, the kind we can create today in controlled environments, can reach temperatures of thousands of degrees. Hot enough to melt metal, hot enough to change matter almost instantly. So if that kind of energy were directed at a person, the result wouldn't be a clean hit and a dramatic fall backward. The energy would be absorbed, transferred directly into the body, and that means the effect would be far more about thermal damage than motion. In other words, it wouldn't throw you across the room. It would do something very different. And here's where it gets even more interesting. In movies, characters are often knocked backward several feet. But physics has a rule. If something has enough force to push you that hard, it should push the person firing it just as hard in the opposite direction. That's conservation of momentum. So if a blaster had the power to launch someone backward, it would also launch the shooter backward, which we don't see. So what we're really looking at on screen is a visual shortcut, a way to show impact, without showing what that impact would actually mean. Because real energy doesn't behave politely, it doesn't create clean lines and dramatic falls. It transfers, it disrupts, it changes things in ways that aren't always easy to watch or easy to explain. And maybe that's the point, because movies aren't trying to simulate reality. They're trying to tell a story. They simplify, they adjust, they reshape physics into something we can follow in just a few seconds. But every now and then, it's worth stepping back and asking what the real version would look like. Not to ruin the story, but to understand the difference between what we imagine and what actually is. Because sometimes the real world isn't less interesting than fiction, it's just less forgiving. If you've got a thought on this, something you've always wondered about in movies or science, drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. Pull up a chair, warm your hands, and stay a while, because the fire never dies as long as people keep showing up. Thanks for watching. I'm Christy, and I'll see you next time.